Namaste. Thank you for joining me for this yen flow today. I'm trying to turn the volume up. Um, I wanted to bring up something that we've talked about before, but it's something that I've been noticing in my own life and through conversations, and thought I would bring it up today. And that is the fact that we talked about everything being kind of dualistic at the beginning of the week, and how sometimes we have to make a split decision, or sometimes we feel pulled in two different directions. We've talked about how the pandemic has created fractured relationships, and how it has split communities and even families. And then we went into a subject matter of doing versus being, and finding the balance between the two. And we were envisioning the yin yang symbol. So today, what I have been noticing through conversation and what's been coming up is this idea, because things are divisive and people have their own strong opinions and beliefs about things, how you yourself may find that either someone is doing this to you, or you may be doing this to someone else that you love. Where you're trying to not necessarily prove that you're right, but you're stating, what it is that you want to say, and maybe they're not hearing it, or they're trying to do this to you and you're not hearing it or seeing it or understanding it. And in that situation, instead of trying to force something, let go of forcing something, let go of expectations. Let go of grasping to this idea that they need to come over to your side or see it in the same way that you do. And can your own light, can your own example make the impression? Can your light make the impact? And can it be the positive influence versus what you're actually saying? I was listening to a podcast this morning, and it was kind of in essence saying the same thing. Basically standing in your power and standing in your light, and to be the example. I also want to share, since we're going to be moving into our practice, that I saw a post yesterday that even reminded me of this. And it's a quote by Joseph Campbell. So I'm going to read that to you. We're not on our journey to save the world or to save another person. We are on this journey to save ourselves. But in doing this, we can save each other and the world, because the influence of a vital person vitalizes. The vital person vitalizes. And I think that's his description or way of saying, let your light be the influence. We talk about prana being vital life force energy. It's not just oxygen that we're bringing in, it's energy. And within the energy is intelligence and information. There's a frequency to it. So consider how we can use the vital life force to revitalize our spirit and to be that shining example to others. So we're going to start on the mat. I would suggest a strap and a bolster for today. So grab a strap, grab a bolster, and I will meet you on the mat. So we're actually going to start off sitting sideways at the top of our mat. And you can do this two different ways. So let me turn this way so that you can see. I personally like to stagger the knees. However, when you start to roll into the twist, that can create some asymmetry. If that causes any disruption or pain to the low back, you can try to bring the knees together or even pad the knees. So I'll start with my back turned to you, now that you know what the legs look like. And we're going to inhale, extend the vertebrae. And then we're going to rotate around and walk the hands down the lane of the mat. And we're trying to spill down so that the navel is facing the floor, the center of the chest is facing the floor, and turning to your left cheek is more intense. So if you want to be more gentle, rest on your right cheek. And if that's challenging for your neck and you prefer your brow, you may want to cross your arms to provide a headrest like this. So I'll let you decipher what is best to begin with. We're getting right into a twist, which is very cleansing to our system. But it's also wringing out the core of the body. And that's the place of our own inner strength and power, the place where we either feel empowered or disempowered. And just think, if you're trying to force someone to come over to your side, it could be empowering you, but disempowering them, which is why you want your own light to be the impression, to have the influence. So now that we're in this first position, take some deep breaths. Settling into your body and into the shape. Correcting anything to bring more comfort. And once you find the comfort, close and rest your eyes. Emphasize your pranayama to bring that vital life force energy to you. We'll be doing both active and passive poses today. We'll have movement mixed with stillness, and the action mixed with passivity. Now let's transition. So slide your hands closer to your chest. Push through your palms to lift your weight off the floor. You're going to take your left hand to your right knee, your right arm up towards the sky, and you're going to curve to the left. If it's too much to grasp your right knee, you can let the left hand go and you can use it off to your left side, or you can even drop it to your calves. Now that top arm can stretch up and out, extending long through the fingertips. But you can also be more yin. See, curving the top arm, making the head heavier, the left shoulder droopier. That will make it more intense sensation-wise. It's creating more of a collapse in your left side body. So if it affects your breath in a negative way, I would return to the first position. If that top arm gets aggravated, you can always sink it down to your lap. So again, just consider what we started our practice talking about. We can't always talk someone in to our own opinion, belief, or ideology. On your next inhale, let's uplift the right arm and the head and the neck. Lower that hand. And then on your next in-breath, you're going to lift the left knee. And as you exhale, you're going to turn to face the front, soles of the feet together, creating that diamond or rhomba shape. And then we're just going to roll down. So it is okay for the spine to round, for the head to drape, for the belly to be soft, and for the eyes to close. Just focus on your breath, encouraging more breath into your lungs. And elongating the out breath. Inviting more vitality in. And then surrendering, being and basking in your own inner light. Following or listening to the sound of your breath, depending on the pranayama you're choosing. So if it's the Ujjayi breath or a cleansing breath, you can listen to the breath and let the sound be soothing. If you're using a quieter breath or a diaphragmatic breath, you're witnessing and watching and following the breath. On your next inhale, let's slowly start to lift. And we'll bring the right knee over to the left. Again, stacked or staggered, propped or not. You can determine once you're releasing or down into the pose. So lift up energetically. Walk your hands down the lane of the mat. Placing the belly, the chest, and your opposite cheek to the floor. Unless, of course, you used a prop and rested on your brow. Feel as though you're listening or sensing any vibration or sound from the floor. Feel and imagine you're giving love back to the earth. And then improve the quality of your breath. So if we can learn how to let go of force and expectations and grasping here on the mat, it'll help us in those situations when we're dealing with others. Let's glide the hands closer, press up to take a seat. Your right hand will cross to the left knee unless it's just not comfortable or if your arm is shorter or something's in the way. You can always rest the hand to the outside or the calves. Otherwise, the left arm will lift, will sweep over to the right, keeping that arm extended or relaxed. So active or passive, yin or yang. Remember, the top arm can release if it becomes problematic. Inhale back up. Exhale, release. I gotta grab my holster. I forgot to bring it closer. All right, remember when we did that first sequence, we did a forward butterfly. Now we're gonna do a backward butterfly. So it doesn't matter if your bolster is round or square, but you can come down first onto your back. And then you can explore, do you want it to be restorative, where the feet are on the other side, knees open? Or would you like it to be a little bit more yin-like? And if that's the case, you can set the feet together on top of the bolster. This way the knees are getting heavier and you're working into the hip joints even more. Again, it just depends on how it feels, the experience you're having now, and what's better for you. For instance, if you're arthritic in the hips, all of these long held yin poses probably aren't ideal. So maybe making it more restorative so you have the support. Regardless if you are increasing the sensation or not, dependent on your approach, I want you to close the eyes and try to relax as much as you can. Wherever you feel the pockets of resistance, so sensation doesn't necessarily have to be resistance. Hopefully you can discern the difference. But when or where you feel resistance, can you send your laser-like focus to laser-like awareness, and using that laser light to blast out any blockages, any hindrances, any toxins, tension you may be holding. Let's hold for just a few more breaths. And let's flutter the knees back up and together. You can slide the bolster away. And you're going to pull the knees in towards your belly and chest. Coming into Apanasana. Since the legs are just open, maybe close them together. Give it a counter position. And feel that stretch and elongation through the low back. So even though some of the poses target obviously shoulders and chest and back, a lot of the poses focus more on the low back and the hips. And that's because we're human beings having this earthly experience, and these are more earthly matters in those lower chakras. Let's go ahead and roll to one side. Go ahead and come up. And when you come up to the top of your mat, I'm going to give you a choice here. One choice would be just to stay seated, your knees bent, hands here, and bowing your head. So this is a great way to do a squat position if it's just too much for the knees. If your knees can handle it and you want to come up onto your feet, lifting your seat off the floor, then you can do it this way. Bowing the head, turning inward, moving within ourselves. Remembering the breath is the key to ground us into our body. The breath is the key to bring us into our hearts. And the breath is the key to help us to reconnect to our own light. So we're going to do one more yin pose before we start more of a flow. Now I'm going to give you a choice. The next yin pose is going to be dangling, the standing forward fold. So if you're still sitting on the ground, you may want to come up. From squat, we're going to turn the feet forward. And then I want you to softly bend your knees, hang the upper body, and then determine for today, do you want to stay here with your feet wide apart? Or is it more optimal for you today to bring the feet closer together? Now, I'll always bring feet together. I'm going to keep them wide today. This actually feels like more of what I need. But obviously, you've got to tune into your body and sense what feels better for you in the now. It's not extremely different, but the feet more together is definitely a little bit more intense. Try to evenly distribute your weight between the left and the right foot, and between the ball of the foot and the heels of the feet. Now let's bring the feet closer together if you haven't already. And I want you to lodge your feet down into the floor. And the more heavy you make the feet, the more the legs will start to naturally elongate. And your torso may even come up like this, right? So that's okay if you went from here to here. But now place your hands onto your shins or thighs. Reach out to the crown of the head. Drive the shoulders back away from the face. And then inhale, bring the arms to your sides and up overhead. And exhale, bring hands back home to the heart. All right, we're gonna start to flow. So keep your hands at prayer position at your heart. Look straight ahead with your eyes. Set your drishti point for mental focus. And then inhale, let your arms reach up again. Exhale, you're gonna train your drishti on the way down. So as you fold, release the head. Inhale, step back, plank, and then you can lift the head and look back out with your eyes. Hold for a couple breaths. We're gonna add in some strengthening poses with our stretches today. Now exhale, down dog. Just push back away from your fingertips. On the in-breath, we're gonna stretch through the limbs. As we exhale, we're gonna lower knees, chest, chin, Ashtanga Pranam. As we inhale, we untuck the toes, we spill to the belly, we loop the shoulders back to Bhujangasana, and on the exhalation, we're gonna roll back over the toes to downward facing dog. And we're gonna get 2 more of these in. So inhale, stretch out, and then exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, lengthen your legs, tighten your glutes, spread through the collarbones, open your heart to cobra, and exhale, take it back, down dog. Inhale, be here, put a little bit more effort in, and then exhale, let go of the effort, drop to knees, shift forward, chest and chin down. Inhale, slither through, snake. And exhale, downward facing dog. Now from downward facing dog, take a deep breath in. Exhale, land your knees, untuck your toes. Inhale, shift forward onto the top of your thighs and pelvis. Slide your hands forward and out, and then prop your torso up. So this is seal, different than up dog. But what I want to bring to your attention today is when I was younger, 20 years ago doing this, I could have the feet together. It didn't hurt my low back at all. But now that I'm getting closer to 50, things have changed, right? A lot of us, as we age, develop degenerative disc somewhere in our back. Mine happens to be in my low back. So I feel better separating the feet. My back feels better because when the feet are together and when we're in this pose, we're already naturally getting that compression in the low back, but this can provide a little space. Now, if you're still here and you're like, okay, the feet opened, my back still is not very happy, that's when you cater to that. And you drop the elbows down for Sphinx or walk them forward so you're even lower to the ground, and you can just prop your head up. So pick one of those back bends. Since this is a different pose than what we were looking at earlier with butterfly, I want you to use your laser-like focus, your laser-like awareness, and to send that laser light to any places of tension, any places of resistance. Slowly blast away. So when I say blast, I don't mean blast and destroy. All right, think about, I had laser eye surgery like 20 years ago. And it was just through a laser beam of light, they were able to correct my vision. Now, it didn't stay corrected, but it was still pretty miraculous. They do this with dysplasia on the cervix. So there's a lot of surgeries these days where they use laser light, and it's for healing. So that glass, look at it as not as being destructive, but as healing. All right, we're gonna roll down to the chest, slide the hands under the shoulders, slide the feet closer together, and when you're ready, you're coming back to downward facing dog. Now, while you're in downward facing dog, let's go ahead and step the feet to the top of the mat, and we're gonna be active. So straighten your legs, even if you need to prop your hands to your thighs or shins. And then inhale, coming all the way up to the top. This time at the top, we're not just going to frame the face with the arms. We're actually going to shift the weight forward with our thighs and hips. And we're going to lift through the floating ribs and take a standing backward bend. And as you exhale, bring the hands together and fold. Now that you have folded down, let's come back to dangling. So let's softly bend the knees. Let your head be free. Your breath be full. You may even notice with a really strong vital breath, you may even feel a slight swaying in your body, taking you forward and back, feeling like you're going up and down. Inhale, press through the soles of the feet, straighten out through your legs. Even if you need to slide your hands up to come to Ardha Uttanasana. And now we'll plant the palms and step back, plank, and just hold for a couple breaths. Exhale, take it back to down dog. All right, inhale, stretch long through your limbs. Exhale to knees, chest, chin. Inhale, slither through on the belly to cobra. Shoulders roll back. And exhale, draw in through your navel. Use core support to transition to down dog. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, glide through to the snake pose. And exhale, down dog. All right, I think that was 2. I want us to do 3. So exhale, knees, chest, chin, Ashtanga Pranam. Inhale, Bhujangasana. And exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now we're going to get off these hands. So lift your left leg first, and then roll open to downward scorpion. But be mindful, we haven't really stretched the inner thighs yet, other than butterfly. So make sure it's available. Unroll the hip, bring the knee to set behind your left hand, And if you need deer, go ahead and collapse down to your left hip, slide your right knee up, and fold over your shin. If this feels awkward and you don't want to go to swan, I would suggest maybe just coming down to the back like this. If you enjoy that pigeon or swan position, you can be here. So the reason why a lot of these yin positions hone in on the hips and the low back is not just for the reason I mentioned, taking us out of the earthly matters, more into spiritual matters. Um, but it's also to help us be prepared for the sitting and the meditation. Meditation being the highest form of yoga. There's all types of meditations. I remember getting a Reiki reading once, and my grandmother came into the reading. I was working with a medium who could see and talk to people who have passed on, and my grandmother was there with me, and she was telling the Reiki master to remind me to meditate more. And then this Reiki master was telling me that even though my grandmother didn't meditate the way I do, she had her own ways of meditating. And I knew instantly what she meant, because my grandmother would get very quiet and focused when she was in the garden. And she would get very quiet and focused when she was canning. She would get very quiet and focused when she quilted. So those were her avenues of meditation. Now, what the meditation I just mentioned for the yoga piece, yes, we can meditate many different ways, but the way I was referring to it as a formal seat for meditation. Inhale it slowly come up. We're going to transition through down dog. So if you were on your back, you may want to come back to downward facing dog. First of all, you can feel that release from the left hip, but it also sets us up so that we can come into the pose the same way as before. So now lift your right leg. Maybe take downward scorpion, being cautious with your pivot so that you're honoring the stretch in your inner left thigh. And then unroll, set the knee behind your right hand. And then, of course, if you want swan, you can come on down. If you need deer, create the position for that. Or, of course, if you want to go to your back, you can spin down. Take your time figuring out which one is best, because each side may be showing up differently. If they're vastly different, they may need a different approach. So I'm just going to let you have some quiet time here. Making this area less dense, more supple. And take just a couple more breaths. On your next inhale, slowly start to lift. We'll plant the palms, curl the back toes. We'll go into downward facing dog. Now from here, notice if there's more or less of a flush on this side compared to the previous. And then we're going to go back into that strengthening flow. So let's descend to knees, chest, chin, building up our body strength. Inhale, slither through to cobra for back body strength. And exhale, draw in through your navel and draw back. Inhale, be here. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, down dog. And just one more. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, Bhujangasana. Exhaling, Adho Mukha Svanasana. On your next in-breath, let's bring the feet to the top of the mat. Keep the legs more active here. Take the arms up overhead. We started this one with the back bend, so let's end with the back bend. And then exhale, hands to heart. All right, we're gonna come to the floor. And if you wanna flow through a squat or through toe balance, you can. But I had to grab a strap because we haven't done this in a while. And you may need a strap. So if you bend your knees and slip your left foot under the right, this is the way to use the strap. So you can take the strap around your foot and you can lean back a little bit so that you can straighten out the right leg. Okay, so this may be better today since we haven't done it in a while. I'm going to show this other way too, though, where we lace the hands and slowly straighten out the leg. Now, it's very possible that straightening the leg can slouch your back, so make sure that you're including a straight back here. This is Crouchasana Heron Pose, named after the bird. But we're going to go into the Music City hip openers. And I'm going to go back to a strap. You can stay in that pose. I just want to be sure to give you a visual this way. For instance, if you're using the strap, you're going to take the ends of the strap into your right hand, let it open, and then instead of leaning back, you're going to come to the front side of the sits bones and lift up, okay? If you're using your hands, you hold with your right and anchor with your left. Earlier this morning in the studio, I was teaching this class, and when we were holding that long pigeon or swan, there was a song called Slow Burn that came on. And then when we started this position, we heard a banjo playing. And so it really sounded like Music City had just come into the room. All right, we're gonna bring that leg back through center. So I'm gonna show you really quick with the strap. If you're using a strap, you're gonna hold it with your left hand and extend your right arm in front of you. If you're only using your hand, you're holding the pinky toe side of the foot, activating that IT band, lifting the heart, Sending the right arm out. Now we should all be together. Now twist to the right. Exit the twist and release the foot. And then we'll do this to the other side. So the right foot will slip underneath the left knee. If you're choosing a strap today, wrap it around the foot, push that foot forward, and you may need to lean your torso back. If you're using your hands, you might be able to keep the spine more extended over the hips as you straighten the legs. You may still have to lean back, and that's all right. Crouch asana, heron pose. Now hold the ends of the strap with your left hand. Right hand anchors the hip for the second phase, or hand hold to the foot in the second phase. Through center, swapping hands to hold the strap, left arm in front, or hold the pinky toe side, left hand in front. Either way, we're going to take the twist. Exhale, unwind, and you can let that go and bring your right knee in to join. All right, we're going to roll to our backs, catch our knees, and give a light little squeeze. And I want us to take one more twist. So if you could, send your knees off to the left, clear any space around you to make that available. Stack the knees, reach out through your right arm, but only turn your head towards your right shoulder if it lands to the floor. If it's hovering, it's just gonna, doesn't feel good to the neck, right? I'm doing it in my own body here. So if that's the case, if you need to pad your shoulder, add a blanket, or even a blanket under the knees, you see, could lift them up and allow the right shoulder to rest. Be captivated by your breath and open up that channel for the vital life force energy. Feel more vitality. We're usually able to be in the essence of our light. And it's the light and it's our vitality that can bring that positive influence and impact to the world around us. Head turns, knees lift, and then let them roll to the right. Lengthen out through the left arm. Discover if you need any padding under the shoulder or the knees or in between. Roll the head to center, bring the knees back to center, and then fly the feet up in the air. Create a very simple Vaparita Karani. Feet over knees, knees over hips, or the feet, knees angled forward of the hips, moving away from the face. Because we want the circulation to come down into the whole abdomen. The legs are coming forward, it kind of cuts off that channel. Hug the knees in one last round, Apanasana. And then, just kind of consider the props that are around you and how you would like to set up for deep rest. So maybe you just want the bolster lining under your legs. Maybe you want it under your spine. Maybe you don't want it at all. So I'll give you a moment to set up. Get still. Then I want you to tune back inside. Retreat. The hermitage of your heart. What I just heard referenced yesterday as the true promised land. As you continue your inner journey, I want you to imagine the time recently where you may have been outside and you saw the sun rays piercing through the clouds. And I want you to imagine the inner essence or light of your heart is opening up that way, radiating out that way. And if you want to exhibit innocence, cleanliness, and purity, visualize the light being white. You're trying to promote growth, healing, and harmony. Picture it green. You want it to be calming, clearing. Picture it blue. You want it to be mystical, spiritual. Picture it gold. If you're wanting to exhibit self-acceptance, self-love, self-worth, perhaps picturing pink. Let this light radiate throughout your mind and body. And then on your next in-breath, stretch the arms overhead. As you exhale, hug the knees in. I want us to sit in a formal position to end our practice today. So you may want your bolster, block, pillow, or blanket to sit on. Just take a moment when you sit upright to make sure you feel supported, even if it's back support against the wall. Just imagine that glow of light, creating an orb around your body. Basking in the color, what it symbolizes or represents. Know that you are creating a frequency just through the power of your imagination. And other people you're around are going to be able to sense it, even though they can't see it. May we all glow with vitality. May we all be a shining example, creating a positive influence with those around us. And bringing your hands to prayer position at your heart. As we seal this practice, I want you to consider if there's that someone who you've been trying to impact in some way to see your point of view. Instead of forcing that upon them, imagine in your mind's eye that the orb around your body is expanding and including this other person or group of people. And so it is, and let it be so. The light within me honors and bows respectfully to the beautiful light within you. Namaste.